What is the difference between the ordinary thief and a political thief? Number one, the ordinary thief steals your money, your bag, your watch, and your jewelry, isn't it? But the political thief steals your future, your career, your education, your health, and your business. Number two, the hilarious part is that the ordinary thief will choose whom to rob. But you are the one who choose the political thief to rob you. Because we choose them. We vote them. We blindly say we are not blind. Who is deceiving who? The ridiculous part of the whole issue is that we will fight to defend and protect our belongings from the ordinary thief. Is it not? But we fight each other to defend and protect the political thief. Is that not what we do? Thugs will be fighting themselves to protect those that are stealing our career, stealing our joy, stealing our health, stealing our success. What a shame. What a travesty. It calls for us to think and think deep. The stage we are in as a country is not a stage where you become an onlooker. You have become an onlooker for too long. You must get ready to put your hands to the plow and be part of the process. It's not just about PVC, carry PVC. You must be in the kitchen where it is being determined. You must be there where the decisions are being made. We are there in our numbers, they cannot outnumber us. But you leave it aloof. Oh, no, it's too dirty. It's a dirty game. And then the dirty guy is getting to the game of play. And you are there not showing up. And when they begin to make the decisions, you will know whether it's a dirty game or not. The result is always dirty on yours. Dirty on your health. Dirty on your business. Dirty on your success and your career. I hope that is stirring up something in you.
Hello, this is attorney Shellen Washington, owner and founder of the Washington Law Firm, located at 455 Utica Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We're specialized in medical malpractice, personal injuries, matrimonial law, and landlord and tenant. If you're in need of legal representation, please give us a call today. The number to call is 718-877-3100. Consultation is free at no cost to you. So call us today to see if we can be of any assistance to your legal needs. Again, the phone number to call us is 718-877-3100.
If you are looking to have your statutory declaration, affidavit of income, identity, damage or lost passport, lost license, tenancy agreement, agreement of settlement, power of attorney, last will and testament, and certification of documents, then you need to visit the Alistair Collins firm, located at the Kellyan Mall, 162 Lamaha Street in Georgetown, between Camp and Waterloo Street. Alistair Collins is a commissioner of oaths and a justice of the peace. Make certain you visit him or call for more information at 649-6410 or 685-6448 or 503-1451. And there's adequate parking available. Go down to the Alistair Collins firm and have all of your legal issues settled and brought to the fore. Alistair Collins firm. Contact them at Alistair Collins firm.
She put a pot on she hair and gone. Them a the first one out on the dam. basket on she head, bucket in each hand, hold up on she frock, I wanna she grandson. To the market, them a go. For the morning, the day is dawning. For cock-a-crow to give the villagers a warning. Rise and shine, the birds them a sing. All animal take turn as them join in the waking. Cock-a-crow, dagabag, donkey, bray, horse, and they even duck-a-quack. Cock-a-crow, dagabag, donkey, bray, horse, and they even duck-a-quack. Come and hear this sweet story that tell the people about life in the country. All day a back down, me now I come home. Inaga, jackass, yard for fed.
All right, hey, there's nothing to panic about. I'm right here. We were just, you know the situation, right? Sorry about that. Yep, we were ensuring that our guest, who is in Studio B with us, he's all ready to rock and roll. And we just give you guys some time to ensure that you share the link so that you can listen to tonight's program. I know a lot of things happening in Ukraine, right? It's so sad that vicious leaders, dictators, that's what they do. They roll up their tanks into country, they bulldoze the streets, they bulldoze buildings, they slaughter innocent citizens, innocent people, old folks, young people, children, everybody, I mean, look, I saw, before we get to Tom, please, Tom Anderson is here. He's ready to talk. We are actually co-hosts, but sometimes I dominate the whole scene, man. I got to apologize to Tom when he comes on. In fact, Tom is already here. Tom is my co-host. Tom, take a minute to say something to the people before we start, really.
Well, I just want to say hi to everybody. I'm glad I'm back on. Was really looking forward to talking to everybody. We're in some interesting times, Mark, and definitely wanted to get your ideas on a few things, and wanted to hear what you've been hearing on the street, and just wanted to talk about it a little bit tonight.
Yep, I've been hearing a lot of things on the streets, but before we go into the streets, something that bothers me, man, it's still bothering me. I saw, because I was wondering, what was the cause of this, Tom? I want you and our listeners to take a quick look at this. Tom, so sad to watch that, man. What do you think caused all of that?
Just watching it, I've seen it about 10 times, and I don't know. You tell me, Mark, if you think you saw what I saw. What I saw was the Russians thought that they were going to blitzkrieg the entire country and in one day take over everything. I think was what their plan was. That didn't happen. They ran into some resistance, and the kind of resistance they ran into was from civilians. And that looked like a Russian soldier that probably had a few buddies killed the night before and was really angry and took his frustration out on an innocent person. That's what that looked like to me. And I think we might see a lot more of that, because the Ukrainians, they're not giving in. They're fighting, and it's civilians fighting, and it's a lot of them. So,
which is a good thing for folks to stand up for their country, especially under these circumstances. But someone, I just saw a question. Someone asked if they hope nobody was in that car. Obviously, somebody was in the car. The car was being driven. And do you think that maybe another tank? I'm just trying to, put things together. That driver, that Russian soldier in that tank, that murderer in that tank, would just target that car, run over that car, and then spray it up, as we would say, with bullets, just like that? Or could one of his colleagues had probably radio into him that there is a car coming in there that opened fire on them? Could that be the case? I don't know.
It could be, but I doubt it. I'll tell you why. Because that tank isn't used for plowing down vehicles. That's not the purpose of that tank.
But we saw that tank before in a particular country. We know that country, right? China.
Yeah.
China.
Exactly. That's right.
Tiananmen Square. Right. Yep.
But
that tank.
The way you know that tank really isn't made for plowing vehicles is the man inside, the driver in the car. He survived. He survived that.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. The driver of the car? I didn't get it, but I'm glad he survived.
It got flattened, and he was in there pinned down in there, and people came and pulled him out. So he survived.
I mean, I'm laughing now because that is good news, even under the circumstances. It is good news. I didn't see that part.
That tank isn't made for that, right? And so I'm telling you, that looked like a soldier who, these troops have been clearly given orders to not kill civilians. And they've probably been given strict rules for engagement with civilians. Well, guess what happens when you do that? The civilians who have weapons can use those rules against you, can kill you, and there's nothing you can do in return because your rules to engage them are too strict, right? So when that happens, and that guy was probably drinking a lot because he's Russian. He was out there drinking a lot.
Well, wait a minute. Privet to all of our Russian friends. Not all Russians drink vodka. Come on.
They were drinking, man. Let's think about it. It's an easy win. They're fighting a bunch of grandmas and grandpas. So these guys came in with all their fancy tanks and jets and helicopters, and they thought easy, but it wasn't so easy. And now their rules of engagement are so strict. They're frustrated. That guy lost his mind because he just wants to go out there and kill everybody in sight and to send the message, don't come out here. Just stay in your house, you idiots. That's what happened with this guy. And he lost his mind. And you know what? Many more are going to lose their minds. I think this is going to be much more difficult than they envisioned.
Certainly much more difficult than they envisioned. And look, I'm going to show the people this clip quickly again. And I'm glad that this guy survived, man. I'm glad that he survived. But that drunkard in the tank was shooting at that vehicle too as well. I guess that's what I heard. I thought he was shooting up the other vehicles as well. But why did he target? Let's go back to this tape quickly.
Yep.
Those shots, those shots, I don't know. These guys are vicious, man. But I'm glad that the people of Ukraine, the Ukrainians, are standing up. Even the president of Ukraine, even the mayor of Kiev, I believe, that champion boxer and his brother.
Yeah.
Everyone is standing up.
Yeah.
Gosh, do you think NATO is doing enough, though, for now?
I mean, they have a big problem, okay? And here's their problem. Their problem is they need natural gas, they need fuel, they need oil, okay? And we've promised them that, we can supply you with everything you need at a really good price to keep everything nice and cheap for all of your citizens over there in the EU. But if you noticed, right when we're promising them, hey, you don't need Russia, we can give you all the oil and gas you need, what do you notice? All these truckers start protesting in Canada, and they start blocking roadways that are carrying truckloads of oil from Canada into the United States, right? You start to notice weird things like that happening. And what does that message send to leaders in the EU? Don't rely upon the United States for your gas and oil, because they've got their own problems. They've got truckers blocking highways. Okay, they've got people protesting. They've got their former president who's going to run for president again. He's praising Vladimir Putin, right? So that's what the EU leaders are hearing, and they're going, "Oh, wait a minute. Is it really a good idea for us to go all in and go after Putin? Because if we do that, then and he survives, then we can never get that oil ever. And that's going to guarantee that all of our governments are going to fail, because we can't depend on the United States for our energy needs." You see the problem now? So that's why when you hear people like Trump go out there and praise Putin, that's strategic. That's helping Vladimir Putin. It's helping him convince leaders in the EU behind closed doors to not be so harsh, to let him do what he wants to do. Because if you make him mad and Trump becomes president, then you're going to have a situation where Putin and the United States are going to be after you. Then what are you going to do?
You know,
Right.
This is probably the first time in history that you have a former president of the United States is praising a dictator of a country over an invasion of another country where hundreds of people are being killed. Innocent people are being killed. What exactly is going through your mind when you read what Trump is saying and praising and holding on to Putin?
Well, I think Trump, having wielded the power of the United States, I think his mind has been racing ever since he's been in the White House. And what he's thinking is, you know what? I can change everything. I don't have to go by any rule book. I don't have to go by anything. I can actually remake the entire world however I see fit. That's where he's at. And he sees a man like Putin and he's saying, wait a minute, that guy is a good partner for me, because the same way he's liquidating Ukraine, I can do the same to Canada and Mexico. That's what he's saying. And that's what he wants. That's his desire. Because from his perspective, why are we allowing the Mexican government to even exist? What's the point of that? In his mind, we can do a much better job than they're doing. They're so corrupt. So let's just annex them out the same way Putin annexed out the Ukraine, right? That's how he sees it. And he sees it as genius, because from his perspective, here we are with a world full of resources, full of technology, with all this money, and the people that control these mighty militaries aren't taking it all for themselves. What's wrong with you guys? That's the thinking. So these are just crooks. And he sees a brother crook in Putin, and he sees Putin being a master crook, and he wants to be just like him. He loves him.
He wants to be that master crook. But and the attempt that might be going through what might be going through Trump's mind with Mexico kind of remind of a lot of people who don't know I think it was Texas and wherever else that was actually taken from Mexico.
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's right. So you have a situation, right, where unfortunately you have Putin sitting there and he's saying, hey, if I can just keep the world at bay for the next year and a half, I'm in the clear. Because if I can do that, then Trump is going to win in 2 years. That's what he's thinking. I'm telling you, this is what they're thinking. Trump will win in 2 years. And if he doesn't win, he'll find a way to use the military or something to steal it, right? I'm telling you, this is what they're thinking, because this is how these people think. So he's saying, I can just placate these guys for a year and a half. Once Trump becomes president, then I can really go in and do whatever I want to do. Because once he's president, NATO is over. Trump isn't going to allow NATO to exist. NATO's over. at that point, it's basically Putin, do whatever you want. And that's what their plan is. And that's what Trump desires. And Trump needs this chaos, right? Because you know what Trump needs? Trump needs our government and everything coming down on his head to be distracted enough so that he can kick the can down the road into the election. Because if he gets reelected, guess what happens? He'll just pardon himself and everybody else. So what this is right now is this is a race. Both Putin and Trump are doing everything in their power to placate everyone for as long as possible heading into this next election. And Trump is going to do whatever he can do, get help from whomever he can get help from, even if it's a foreign government, to win this next election. Again, this is what he's shooting for.
Foreign help of a foreign government or foreign governments again. Now let's steer this ship all the way to Guyana. Yep. And how frightening is this? Because you have Venezuela trying to claim all of the Essequibo Islands and all these different things. How dangerous is this for Guyana? And what's happening with Ukraine and Putin and so forth?
Well, it's simple because here's where Guyana fits in, right? You have a situation where China, Trump and his supporters, and Russia, they all want a South America filled with nothing but dictators. This is what they want. And they want dictators throughout all of South America because that is the perfect way to do what Putin is doing right now, which is you take your military assets, you take your secret police, you take your kill squads, and you send them out and you kill off anyone who has any kind of talent, anyone who has any type of mind, anyone who's popular politically. You kill them all. You get them all, you get rid of them all and all their families. And then you have populations of just normal people that you just basically steal and rob from. You poison them, you kill them, you rob all their resources from underneath their feet, and you keep it moving. That's the plan for Guyana and all of South America from Putin, from the Chinese, and from Trump. This is what they want.
It's what they want, of course. And you see any connection with the change of government in Guyana and to have the PPP being installed with the help of the former U.S. Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, and others? Are things beginning to add up right now with what happened in last elections in Guyana?
Right. It's adding up to the pieces are all in place, right? Put together individuals and political parties in South America who are going to run basically dictatorships, banana republic dictatorships, and steal from their own people, rob from their own people, and provide cover for these foreigners who want to come in and strip your properties, your land, and everything from you and from your families. Just they want to rob it all. And they need these dictators in your country and others to do this. It's imperative.
Yep. And that's exactly what they do. So let's head back now. We know in Senegal, there was this arms bust, 5-point-something million US dollars. That seemed to have gone quiet now. Some Ukrainians were arrested. Any word on that, Tom?
Yeah, still no word on that, but it's looking like, more and more. At the time when I looked at it, I said, remember I said you just never know who those weapons are for, who the end user is going to be. You just never know. But this is what we do know. The reason why Guyana is always involved is because Guyana is a perfect place for money launderers and for people who want to exchange stolen goods for weapons, right? So if you want to exchange a boatload of weapons for, let's say, stolen gold, you can't do that in the United States. If you try to do that here, you're probably going to get caught. Okay, you're going to get caught. Most places, you're probably going to get caught. Okay, it's going to be too hard. In Guyana, it's set up. The government has made it so that type of business is welcome. It's encouraged, and so now I'm looking at it, and it looks like those weapons were for Ukrainians, that they were trying to get as many weapons as possible through every route possible, I guess is what was going on there. I mean, I don't know, but that's what it looks like.
In terms of that's what it looks like, everything seemed to have quieted down. The Ukrainians under attack. physically in the streets. A lot of them are dying, but they're not dying just like that. They are fighting. One border guard actually told a Russian soldier to screw himself, and that's it. And these people, when you listen, when you look at those sort of things, man, that's how folks must fight for their country, fight for their nation. And I take my hats off to those folks who are fighting against a brutal dictator by the name of Putin, a brutal dictator. Kudos to those Ukrainians. You mentioned money laundering and all these different things, but are you concerned that with what's happening in Ukraine and what could happen in other parts of the world, not excluding Guyana and Venezuela, that is a homegrown or a recipe for terrorists to take up nest, maybe in Guyana?
Well, you have to imagine, right? So Putin, he goes in and he invades. Our move is to put sanctions, right? So what will his next move be? His next move will be to tell all of the groups that they have been supporting for years now to implement the plans that they've been planning. Like, that's what's next, right? And so the Iranians are given the green light now to create chaos. And we know that Iranians have been in Guyana. We know this, right? And so what's going to happen here? It's really simple. You're going to have terrorist cells and terrorists coming to Guyana to get fake government documents, birth certificates, and other things.
And it's not the first. Remember the guy Al Juman?
That's right. Yes.
Guyanese passport.
That's right. Yes, that's right. He was the one in charge of creating a nuclear bomb for Al Qaeda, and he ended up fleeing to Guyana using a Guyanese passport. Also, the professor from the University of South Florida, I forgot his name, Dr. He also tried to get a visa out of the country into through Guyana illegally, and he was trying to do that through Thomas Carroll, at the time. So what you're going to have here,
for folks, Tom, who doesn't know who Thomas Carroll is, he was a senior diplomat at the U.S. Embassy stationed there in Georgetown. The biggest corruption.
Yeah. He ran a multi-year campaign of trading visas to enter the United States for gold and cash. And it was quite lucrative. And he did it for many, many years. And they never said who came through, but his wife, who was Chinese, seems to be a Chinese national. She appeared to be, she was keeping notes of all their transactions in in Chinese writing. So who knows what that was about? Number one. Number two, they never revealed who was coming through. So he could have been allowing a lot of terrorists through. You don't know, but you can tell from WikiLeaks and other documents that have been released over the years from the State Department that they do believe that terrorists are coming through Guyana, and there's proof of it. And when you're talking about now what we're looking at, they're going to be trying to get fake government documents. They're going to try to get visas, and they're going to try to get into the United States and create havoc, not just here, but throughout South America. So I fully expect there to be a lot of chaos happening on our side, in our part of the world coming up here because of what's happening in the Ukraine.
Yeah, and they have quite the regime in Guyana to facilitate those sort of things, right?
They've got the perfect regime. That's right.
The death squads, the fake passports to have terrorists in the country, because quite a few of those guys came in from supposedly Bangladesh, but maybe from other parts, maybe Pakistan or wherever, and they slipped into the United States of America through Guyana. A lot of people don't know that.
That's right. And you have to remember, we have Congressman Meeks, who's the chairman of Foreign Relations, and he has a history of close relations with Al Qaeda. He just does.
Now, people might be asking, Tom, how is that possible? A powerful U.S. congressman has links to Al Qaeda?
He does. I'm sorry. His office ran Friday prayers for all Muslim congressional staffers for years. Okay. And his office set it up, and his office invited one of the top. This individual became one of, I think, number 2 in Al Qaeda. Eventually, it was that pastor in Virginia. I forgot his name, but he became the number 2 in Al Qaeda. Well, Gregory Meeks' office had that Al Qaeda terrorist providing Friday prayers to all of the United States staff who were Muslim in Congress. Think about that for a second.
I'm thinking about it, but our listeners might be saying, how on earth is that possible? And Gregory Meeks is still powerful, a powerful congressman. And a staff member had alleged links to Al Qaeda, a terrorist group.
This is what's going on. I mean, this is what we have going on. Okay. And no one cares because Gregory Meeks, he does a good job for really bad people. Okay. Dictators love him and for good reason. All right. Look, Gregory Meeks, he set up something that there are these things in our Congress called a caucus. Okay. A member of Congress can set up a caucus, and these caucuses invite influential people that care about that issue to wine and dine members of Congress to tell them how special that issue is. Okay. So you know what kind of caucus Gregory Meeks set up? He set up something called the Russia caucus. So Congressman Meeks sets up the Russia caucus. He's from Queens, New York. Why would Congressman Meeks, who's from Queens, New York, be setting up the Russia caucus in the United States Congress, where he's going to be listening to very wealthy Russians wine and dine him and tell him how great Vladimir Putin is? This is what this man did. And you know who he set up the caucus with? A convicted felon, former FBI agent, Michael Grimm. So here we are.
And Michael Grimm was actually accused of sending off information to Russia, something of that sort, selling secret documents, kind of like the same secret documents.
What was he doing? I forgot what he was doing.
That Trump took some of those secret documents.
Okay. I know he got hit with some tax stuff, and he went to jail. Okay. Yeah. He was the one who threatened to fold a reporter in half and toss him off of the upper staircase of the House of Representatives building, off of the rotunda. He threatened him on camera to fold him in half and toss him off the rotunda, a reporter. Okay. So that's who Gregory Meeks created the Russia caucus with. Now, all I have to say is when the chairman of our foreign relations has a situation where he was being wined and dined by influential Russians who were interested in the Russia caucus with his buddy Michael Grimm, to now be the guy speaking to leaders in the EU and telling them, hey, don't worry, us here in America, guys like me, we don't have a soft spot for Russia. No, all those dinners I had that you guys know about, oh, forget about that. They're not my friends anymore. Believe me, we're on your side. They're not going to believe him. So that's why we're having problems, because we have guys like Gregory Meeks, who everyone knows is corrupt, who everyone knows is a friend of really bad people, telling our friends in the EU, hey, don't worry, guys, I'm here for you. They know he's a liar. They know he's corrupt. It's like sending a wolf to tell the sheep, I'm going to take care of you guys tonight. It's not going to happen, right? So that's one of the biggest problems we have, is we have leadership who can't be trusted, and everyone knows they can, and they're the ones trying to convince these leaders in the EU to believe us, that we're here for the good guys. Are we? I don't believe Gregory Meeks is here for the good guys. I'm sorry, he's not.
All right. Before we head back to Guyana again, we want to touch a little bit on the money laundering side of things and how comfortable the PPP folks like Jack Deere and Irfan Ali, they're comfortable with dealing with money launderers. Meeks is actually currently in Africa talking about peace and businesses. Elections coming up shortly, Tom. He's in Africa now. Are you surprised?
I'm not surprised because a lot of what's happening right now with Putin, China likes this because China wants to do to several African countries what Putin's doing now to Ukraine. China can't wait to jump into Africa. They've already got one military base there. They want a bunch of them. They want to have military bases in the Atlantic. These guys want to come in and literally just rake up every crumb of natural resource there is in Africa, period. And so, yes, Meeks is there to help lay down the road for China to rape the place. He's going to help them. That's what he's there to do. I'm sorry to break it to you guys, but that's what we have as the chairman of our foreign relations, is a guy that everyone knows is there to help China, not us, China. I'm sorry. It's ridiculous.
You know, I'm smiling before we get back to Guyana. In fact, let me bring you into some of the mentality and the thinking of some Guyanese, not all Guyanese. This is one guy, Dianarine Body Junkie. Junkie, not junkie, mind you, junkie. But his comments would suggest that maybe instead of junkie, it probably could have been what I just mentioned. Mm-hmm. He says, Mark, please be reminded, the ABCE countries will not condone elections rigging. Forget about the other crap that he wrote. Remind this guy about what Trump and his cohorts attempted to do in the 20.
Come on. Come on. Okay, so if you want to know anything about elections and democracy in this hemisphere, if you want to know, you can look at the history of America, okay? And here's the reality. This is just the truth, okay? My father, who's still alive right now, he lived at a time when he could not vote because of the color of his skin. My father. All right. So this idea that ABCE countries care so much about come on, man. Like, this is one of the things that we as Americans have to fight for constantly are our rights to vote. We have to constantly fight for our rights here. So if we're constantly fighting tooth and nail, and everyone is, this isn't just a Republican or Democrat thing in America, or white or black thing. Everyone in this country fights tooth and nail for their vote. We have to. If we don't, we lose it. And so that applies to everyone even more so. Okay. So I'm sorry to break it to some of the listeners here, but the reality is for regular people, this world has not been good for us, and that has been very hard for us. I'm sorry, it's been hard.
When you say regular people, obviously you mean black folks, whether they're Indians, whatever. All
of us. It's been hard on us. Okay, our ability to be free has been under threat every day. Okay, like we can't rest. We have to constantly be vigilant. Even when we think we've accomplished something, we've accomplished nothing, because we have to mentally continue to move forward, or else everything will be taken away twice as fast than whatever we got, okay, in the time that it took to get what we got. So I hate to break it to some of the listeners here, but election shenanigans is what I would call them. I won't say election fraud, because governments have a way of changing the rules so that they can claim no fraud happened. Okay.
But Trump, it was pretty obvious. Look what Trump tried to do. If he could have had the military to go in and invade it,
but it wouldn't have been considered fraud, though, right?
Look at what the then Secretary of State, U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said. Even after Biden won an election, he said there will be a second Trump. Sorry.
Well, look, this is the thing, and it wouldn't be illegal. You know why? Because Trump has learned something that a lot of other dictators have learned, and that's this. If you break the law, just change the law. I mean, that's what they do. They just change it. And then guess what happens? Everything was fine. Keep it moving. And what they hope is that normal people do not continue to stay vigilant. They're hoping that we get tired of it, because it is tiresome to have these clowns come around every couple of years for these elections, and all they want to do is rob and steal. Like, They're lying through their teeth. They want to rob and steal. And it's just like, it's so tiresome. But you cannot get weary. You cannot throw your hands up. You cannot hope, cross your fingers and hope everything turns out fine. If that's what you're doing, then I can promise you, you've already lost everything. Okay.
Let's head back to
Yeah.
Guyana so that we can talk a little bit about the massive corruption under the PPP. Now they're back in office again. They're probably worse. They're now settling down. Hopefully, they're not going to last long. But the money laundering and all these different things. What are you seeing when you take your binoculars and look into Guyana?
Well, it's funny because Guyana has, of course, a lot of potential. And the good thing about Guyana is it's not a country, the people aren't trying to cause trouble. They're not trying to war. They're not trying to take other people's property or other people's lands. That's just not the spirit of the people of Guyana. So because of that, there's a bright future for Guyana, because in the world that we're coming into, in this world that we're going to be in going forward, I think people who are constantly needing to go to war in order to live, I think those people are going to more and more be just gone away, because just like technology has gotten rid of a lot of manual labor everywhere, technology, I believe, is also eliminating the need for strong men like Vladimir Putin, right? It's made it so that us regular people, we can negotiate our differences across borders without needing these leaders to do the negotiating for us, right? And so because of that, these guys who need conflict, they're not going to be needed and they're going to be run out, I believe. So a country like Guyana, that is not a country that is a conflict-based country, has a bright future in a world like that. With that said, the problem in Guyana is going to be vigilance, okay? Is people taking for granted what you have, and also not realizing how much work it takes even to get a little bit more, right? Like it takes so much work from the rank and file, from the normal people, that it's enormous. And most of the work that it takes is not going to be for you. It's going to be for you, the next generation. We will not see the fruits of your labor, most of you. I mean, but that's what creating a great country takes. It takes a couple of generations to sacrifice themselves so that the generation that comes can live off of the fruits of their labor. So that's what Guyana needs now, is to people with the vision to know how to plant the seeds for the future and to be diligent in planting them in soil that can allow these seeds to grow and to flourish, right?
To grow and to flourish, indeed, but that cannot become a reality under a man that is deemed to be corrupt, or individuals who are corrupt, who have associated with drug lords and death squads and all these manner of things. And look at the wealth that they have accumulated, just by being a simple official or a government official. Look at the mansion that when you take a look at the mansions, or whatever it is as we call them in Guyana, unaccounted for, wealth unaccounted for. This is Jack Dew's mansion. This is what Irfan Ali, the guy who sits there now as president, this is what he owned when he just became a minister, just 31 years old. Look at his pool house. Look at the house that he got. And ordinary people can't even afford these things. I don't know. As you look in, how do you feel when you see these guys living such a lifestyle, and they cannot account for their wealth?
Well, what's sad about it is that Guyana, if these guys did their job and focused in on the people of Guyana and focused in on setting up a government that is strong for the people of Guyana, the situation would be amazing in the country, because you would actually have real infrastructure. You'd have real internet. You'd have, great electrical grid. You'd have great educational facilities. You'd have great transportation, right? Like all of these things are there to be had. It's just good leadership has to be there to implement it. And instead, these guys are spending all their time trying to find ways to buy Ferraris and Lamborghinis and to build big giant houses and mansions. I mean, it's sad. It's real sad because just think about if you're these guys, okay? They're in a position where whatever they do can be historic for the people of Guyana and for the world, right? If they had any kind of vision, they would be sitting there thinking, well, you know what? Why aren't we in Guyana leading the world in, let's say, renewable energy or, renewable, having a water system that makes it so that you barely lose any water? Something futuristic, something that no one has ever seen before, something cutting edge. They can do these things. You know why? Because I know that they have connections out there in the UAE. I know they have connections out there in the Middle East and other places where there are architectural firms who do genius work for the palaces and for the kingdoms in the Middle East. Those firms would love to do great work in Guyana, I'm sure, but no one even cares to even try to attempt to bring that to Guyana because they'd rather just let the Chinese do some cheap stuff, throw some cheap stuff together, put some money in their pockets and keep it moving, right? It's just easier. This is just laziness. It's laziness and it's greed, and it's sad because there's so much opportunity to be had, not just for the country, but for them as individuals.
Tom, I know you do a lot of research as well, part of your work and what you do every day. When you scan through how corrupt the PPP was for the 23 years they've been in office, they haven't done anything. They spent 200 million US dollars on a fake sugar factory that hasn't been used. Billions upon billions of dollars wasted during the 23 years. Blackouts still every day. When you look into the mass amount of corruption under the PPP and the PPP leadership, especially through Jack Deo, how is it that Jack Deo seems to be kind of like untouchable? And it's not like external agencies do not know how corrupt this man is. He's still there.
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, right? He's the guy who can make it so that if you need bauxite, he can make it happen for you, right? If you need tilapia fish, he can make it happen for you. If you need wood from the Amazon that never rots, Purple Heart, that you can take that and bugs will never eat it for 500 years. If you need that, he can get that for you. If you need now oil, he can get that for you. He's the guy who can open up to the world this bounty of resources in Guyana for the world to have. And so anyone who is promising that to the world is going to have a lot of friends, because these friends he has, they want what he's selling, right? And so that's why he's untouchable, because there aren't very many people who will go around and put themselves in a position where anyone in the world can look at them and say, oh, that guy is for sale, and I can get whatever I want out of that country just by paying him enough money. He has cultivated this image. Everyone sees him that way. So,
and when you say everyone, because we know almost every Guyanese see him that way, as being corrupt, being greedy, being the dictator that he is. Almost everyone see him that way. Even his own supporters see him that way, but a lot of them are willing to give him a pass. External agencies and governments see him that way too, Tom?
Everyone. But you have to understand the way they view it, right? They view it as, well, look where he's from. He's from Guyana. And culturally, they just like to steal. They're just thieves. That's what they say. I'm just telling you. So that it's not, for them, it plays into a racist mentality towards smaller countries, right? And it's that, oh, here comes another one of those little third world country thieves coming up here, looking for little money. He's looking for his little cash. Like that's how he's viewed. I'm sorry. This is how people around the world view him. And he has cultivated this image. Okay, period. And so it's sad. It's just incredibly sad because why do you want to look that way? Why do you want to be that way? Why do you want the world to view you that way? You have to be a really sad individual to want this. And I mean, that's the only way to explain it.
But he is known to be corrupt. He's known to be that kind of a hustler, a political hustler, a political gangster, a vagabond by external agencies, by governments, and so forth and so on. And just because maybe some of those governments may want maybe a couple thousand barrels of oil or whatever else, they're just turning a blind eye to
Well,
have that.
it's not the governments that want it, okay? It's wealthy individuals who want what you guys have, okay? And these wealthy individuals have sway and power over parts of our government, right? So how does that work? What happens is you get a big company, let's say a big banking corporation, okay? Let's say a big bank who is very interested in keeping money flows going from the United States into Guyana for whatever reason, okay? They're going to reach out to Congressman Meeks through his congressional office, and they're going to say to his office, hey, you know, the more you can open up remittance payments to countries in South America like Guyana, the more happy we'll be. And oh, here, by the way, we just made sure you got a bunch of money and contributions in your leadership pack for your party out in Las Vegas this Christmas. That's what they do. And so what happens? Gregory Meeks puts a lot of pressure on making sure that people like Jack Dale do what this bank wants done, period, right? And what Jack Dale is going to say is, oh, you want this from me? Well, it's going to cost you. And this is how they are bartering their deals. And they all think that, I'll tell you what they're thinking. Jack Dale's thinking, well, look, this big bank in America, they're a part of the stealing. And if they're stealing and doing all this with these money launderers, then why can't I? I'm telling you, this is what's going on here. That's why you have the situation you're having, right? Is because you have leadership who sees that powerful entities in the United States and other places around the world are doing bad things. And they feel like, well, if it's going to happen no matter what, then why don't I get profit from it as well?
Do you see Mercury that stepped in to play that role on behalf of the PPP when they were in the opposition as being in the pockets of some of these big companies? Mercury?
Who? What? I don't know.
Yeah, Mercury is a lobbyist group. I believe that's what it is. Mercury.
Which one? Out of where?
Out of Washington, I believe.
Mercury.
Yeah.
I don't know. The unfortunately, when it comes to lobbying, the big lobby shops aren't usually the ones who have the most influence. They're individual lobbyists, and these individual lobbyists tend to be former staffers of members of Congress.
Yeah,
right?
But this particular group here, they have when I checked the linkage, some of them staff members from some of the powerful politicians. And
there you go. That's how it works. So if they have staffers, if they have former staffers that work for them as lobbyists, essentially what that is the lobbying firm has a client who has legislation that's going to be written by that staffer, and they're going to write it while they're working for the lobby shop, and then they're going to go back to work for a member of Congress. So when they go back, they're going to bring with them that legislation, and it's going to be written and signed into law. Like that's how they do it, basically. That's a short version of how it gets done, right? And so the pressure comes. So these wealthy people with power, they put pressure on these members of Congress to move, right? And so this isn't really the government of America saying that we're interested. The government isn't saying they're interested in the resources of Guyana. No, what's happening is there are wealthy individuals and corporations who are interested in the resources of Guyana. And they are using their lobbyists, who are former staffers or members of Congress, to get what they want done in places like Guyana. That's how it happens.
Yep, that's how it happens. Sometimes some of them influence who should become ambassador or who shouldn't become ambassador.
That's right.
So
That's right. Absolutely. That's how it goes. Yes.
Yep. All right. 57 minutes after 9 o'clock in beautiful Guyana. Tom Anderson is here with us. We have shifted the time from Wednesday. Tom is going to be with us every Fridays. He's going to be here, but a lot of Guyanese are probably saying to themselves, because they know that Jack Dale and others, based on information we heard from Sue, we heard that interview conducted by that Vice News reporter, Isabel. Everything seemed to have gone quiet in Guyana. You being an outsider looking in, are you surprised that things have gone so quiet whilst they await the actual interview to be aired via Vice News?
No.
About allegations of big corruption by Jack Dale.
No, because you have to remember, okay, what's happening in Guyana, this is high-level corruption. Okay, so when you're dealing with high-level corruption and sophisticated corruption, I mean, because not only is this high level, and not only is it's sophisticated because it's multi-layered. Okay, there are so many facets of society in Guyana that have to come together to make all this happen. It's pretty amazing. Okay, but this corruption so the corruption is happening there, and shining a light on it causes these guys to step back. They're very smart. They're not, it's almost like this. I guess this is the best way to put it. One time I had a problem with a property I had with a rat. This rat was huge. It was huge. And any trap I set up, it just destroyed the traps. And there was no way. I mean, it was like, I was worried it was not a rat, that it was some other type of animal, because it was just that massive. But the thing about it, though, was it was so smart. No matter what I did, I called a trapper. No matter what anyone did, the thing was just so smart. You could see it on camera. It would know any trap and just would know how to spring the trap. I mean, it was just one of the smartest animals I've ever seen in my life. With that said, these guys are like a really smart rat that's been at this for a long time. When they sense danger, they get quiet and they step back. But what's happening here, because this is very high level and very sophisticated, is the people who are watching them, they've dealt with rats like this before. And they know when that rat goes quiet and gets quiet and is watching, they watch too. So when everyone's silent, that's because this is high level stuff going on. And everyone's waiting for the next one to make a move, right? So that's all that's happening.
That's all that's happening. Straight up on 107.1 FM. We say good evening to all the folks on the ground listening to us via the radio. Tomorrow is Saturday. Yep, it's a beautiful weekend. But Tom, when you return next week, we have a whole bunch of stuff to talk about. Some of those guys who may be still on the extradition list. The list is so long that we haven't heard anyone extradited of recent times. What's happening with that? You guys don't want them anymore in the U.S.?
Man, our policies on this are all over the place. That's all I have to say. All over the place. It's crazy.
All over the place. What's your closing remarks? Because I know you have another engagement to head to, but your closing remarks, please.
Yeah. Well, look, I started off before I came on tonight. I said a little prayer because I wanted to, remind myself that sometimes it's best to share a message, even if it's a message that doesn't make anyone happy. Sometimes it's best to share it in a way that isn't so harsh, and it doesn't really, I feel like tonight I didn't want to be harsh. I didn't want to press on anybody's spirit too much. I think this is a time for people to rest. I think it's a time for people to regroup, to have faith, focus in on your inner circle, and pay a lot of attention to those things under your control, and just be diligent about it, right? make things simple, be diligent about what's important to you. And I just hope everybody listening keeps hope and faith, and just really everyone groups up together, and in a positive way, we slowly but surely change things for the better for us and for the next generations to come.
Yes, and I guess that's a warm word enough. But a lot of people can say that, look, we've been doing that for many years. We just can't take it any longer. These people are corrupt. Jack Deere is a bunch of those corrupt individuals. The Guyanese people have had so much. They've endured so much at the hands of that brutal dictator, Barrack Jack Deere. I'm not sure. Tom, people want change. People want these. I take what you're saying. Don't get me wrong. But people want those guys out of office like yesterday.
Hey, but you know what? Let me tell you something. It's going to take influential people to take just a few positive steps forward, small steps. And what happens is when that happens, things start to fall into place quickly, right? And so that's why I say people should be patient, because we're in a time now where if you're patient and you're diligent and you make all the right steps, even if they're small ones, you are going to reap huge benefits. That's the time we're in right now. It's not the time to take big chances. It's the time right now to be smart and take small but positive steps forward, because guess what? The bad guys are taking fast and haphazard steps, and they are going to blow themselves up. I promise you. And so as long as it's the race against the bear is what this is. Okay. You can't outrun a bear. It's impossible. But if you run faster than the guy next to you, the bear is going to get him and not you. So that's the point right now. Okay. Is stay on sure footing, be diligent, move in a positive, sure footing, safe direction. If that's done, you will see huge benefit, because these bad guys are taking massive chances. They are jumping, leaping for the greed, and they are going to destroy themselves. I'm telling you, that's the time we're in right now. So this is the time to be patient and be wise, move in a smart way, slowly, but in a positive direction. That's what I say.
Quickly, Tom, I just want to commend you on that other big story that you're working on, and that has caused you to be so busy. But I'm not going to let out whatever that big story is, because I'm not in the habit of telegraphing my shots or people's shots, or I don't do that at all. And some folks got to stop telegraphing their shots. Look, Franklin Boston is saying here, it's rather significant that Mr. Anderson used that example of a big rat. Wow.
I mean, that's what it's like. If you've ever dealt with a big rat, the more, when I think about it, it's just terrible, because they terrorize you and they have no respect for your privacy, for anything. They get into places that you don't want them in, and they tear everything up, and they never stop. It can be in the middle of the night, it can be early in the morning, it can be any time. They drive you insane, and they're just hard to get rid of. I mean, this is what these guys are. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? This is
Absolutely,
what they are.
absolutely. Not wrong at all. Not wrong at all. Lots of the big rats might be watching tonight.
I mean, they know. And look, this is why they're successful at what they do. They know they never stop. They just keep going and going, and they have no respect for anyone or anything. That's the part that I think really gets under people's skin, is just the lack of respect. Just none. It's horrible.
Horrible indeed. Tom, have a great weekend. Give my regards to your family. We got to have a cup of coffee soon, or maybe a Banks beer, a Guyanese Banks beer. Yeah, I know. Have a great weekend, Tom. I'll see you next Friday.
All right. See you guys later. Have a good weekend. Take care.
Good. Tom Anderson there for you guys. And like Tom said, he wanted to calm things down a little this week and come out back next week. Calm things down a little this week, because Tom is a busy guy working on a really, really big story. And I don't get into Tom's business when I should have asked what sort of big story when it's on Guyana. But I don't know, you never know. Tom has his work to do, and we have our work to do right here on 107.1 FM, which is to bring the news for you guys. What else happening? There was a protest yesterday in front of that church on Linden Boulevard. Some folks went out, and I saw a lot of you who do listen to 107.1 FM. You guys were out there. You did your job together as a team. Even it was at the last minute, right? I want to see the same energy also in Queens when these guys are in Queens, or when these guys are in New Jersey. We can't take a position to say that we're going to give New Jersey a pass because some friend of ours is connected to that sort of thing that they're doing in New Jersey, or somebody is connected to the thing in Queens. And so you're only going to do Brooklyn when it's only connected to you. I mean, in a struggle, it's not like that. We need placards as well. Lemon called me, and Lemon said, we need placards. This thing must be done better, right? And it shouldn't just be about dildos. It should be about lots of other things. But the dildo guy, who's also, mind you, I'm glad that the protest was out there in Brooklyn. I'm glad that we were able to get folks to go out even at such a short moment. And next time I'll be there on the ground, because I want you guys also to be able to hear what the people have to say. The people, the protesters, those who were there, what are their concerns, and so forth and so on. People want to hear that as well, right? Because that's what makes it even more interesting, mind you, right? But one of the things that, and getting back to the Lildo guy, getting back to him. And let me just remind some of you who are new, probably didn't hear what he has to say. This is what he had to say.
The reason why this figure was higher in, you gotta get dildo, that's what you're looking for. There were snacks that had, the reason why this figure was higher in, you gotta get dildo, that's what you're looking for.
All right, Darren Lal, also known as Lil Do, he's been explaining to people that he didn't say that and directed it to a woman. But here's the sad thing. He's saying that he said that because other MPs were talking about his wife. Other MPs were talking about his sister, who is dead. And because of that, he got angry and he just blurted that out at Sherrod Duncan. And now I spoke with some of the MPs. I asked some of them, can you tell me exactly what transpired in Parliament so that we can get to the bottom of this thing? And today I spoke with an MP and I asked that MP, I said, look, I know you were there, but can you say if anyone heckled anything to Dharam Lal about his wife? The answer was no, because there is no evidence about that. Here, let's get to the bottom of this and do some quick investigations. If when Dharam Lal was speaking and somebody blurted out something about his wife, knowing the PPP Speaker of the National Assembly, Manzoor Nadir, don't you think Manzoor would have stopped and addressed the MP who blurted out something about Dharam Lal's wife? Of course the Speaker of the National Assembly would have done that. The fact that he didn't do it simply means that it was never done. And that Dharam Lal, known as Lildo Lal, is not telling the truth. Nobody attacked his wife in Parliament on the opposition bench. No one. because there's no evidence of that, and none other MPs, including MPs on his side, never said anything of that sort. Then, because remember now he's looking for sympathy, right? And they spoke about his wife, and they spoke about his sister who's dead. And I'm trying to get sympathy for a dildo comment, right? And this is why I did what I did. And let's go on now. So he's claiming that he said that because somebody said something about his sister. Well, here's what somebody said about his sister. Here is what somebody said about his sister. He was talking about the roads in Region 5 and where he lived, where he grew up. And he turned to one of the MPs for Region 5, the MP for Region 5, that young man who's the vice chairman for Region for PNCR, Vince Roy Jordan. Sorry, and now got it. Vince Roy. So he turned to, and he said that Vince Roy Jordan and his sister and all of them are familiar with that area, right? And so Amanza Walton Desir actually said, oh, so the roads were actually done because your sister lives there? Nobody knew that his sister died 12 years ago or so. Nobody knew that. Nobody uttered nothing derogatory about his wife or about his sister. And if any one of those MPs did that in the opposition, if any one of them did that, and none of them, there's no evidence that any one of them did that. If any one of them did that, then those are things that ought not to be uttered in Parliament, right? Sorry about that. They ought not to be uttered in Parliament. But the truth of the matter is nobody did that. And so there is no justification for this.
The reason why this figure was higher in, you gotta get dildo, that's what you're looking for. There were snacks that had, the reason why this figure was higher in, you gotta get dildo, that's what you're looking for.
You know, and so there was no justification. So Dharamlal, quit while you're ahead. Just quit. Stop with the lies. Just stop it. You know, levels of corruption. You know, I wanted to actually, this I should have been talking about the Guyana's smoothest money launderer. And we'll get back to money laundering next week, right? We'll get back to money laundering next week. And remember this name. I don't know if you guys can see it, right? I can't get my operator because I had this bit of information concerning a Yolanda Prasad. A Yolanda Prasad, who is married to a Trinidadian, a big contractor, seems to be getting all of the contracts or a lot of the contracts in Guyana now. Is Yolanda Prasad good friends with, guess who? Irfan Ali's wife. Irfan Ali's wife. Laundering, this money laundering thing. And allegations of money laundering thing is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But like Tom Anderson said about that big rat, the big rat, it's just a matter of time. I want you guys to have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Don't be misled. Keep doing what you're doing. And this thing is a we thing. It's a together thing. Right, Lemon? It's a we thing. It's a together thing. And I urge people, stop telegraphing your shots. Stop talking up too much about what you're doing and who this. Stop telegraphing your shot. Stop it. It's counterproductive. Let me give Aubrey a free ad. They're going to be in Brooklyn on the 11th of next month. In Brooklyn, the donation is $30. They get free food. Free food, right? And cash bar. A cash bar meaning It doesn't mean that you go to the bar and get cash, right? It means then that you go to the bar and it says it there, cash bar, right? Brenda, we going? Are we going or are we ain't going? Right? And then they got Super Terry, one-man band, and DJ Brando, right? At Legacy Loft. Where is this located? 3302 Ditmas Avenue on the 11th. I give them a free ad. They can't say everything we do here on 107.1 FM, we do free for them. Every single thing, including this ad. We give them a plug. All right? The leader of the PNCR will be there on the 11th. They got a new ad with the correct date. Right? On the 11th, they are going to be there. All right? On the 11th. Go out. Yeah, pay the $30 and see what's going on. Hear from Aubrey. Hear what's going on there. So let me, I can't say I don't give them a free ad. I give them a free ad. Give them lots of things free. Everything free, actually. But I got to go, man. I'll see you guys back on Monday. If there's anything that is urgent, you know what we'll do. We usually do a live. Don't forget tomorrow morning, right here on 107.1 FM, some young people on their show. They're getting there. They did their first show last Saturday. It wasn't that bad. It was good. I'll listen to it again with Sarah David Long and DJ Royalty right here on 107.1 FM. Yuck. 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 This world got a bunch of evil people, evil men. A bunch of evil men. Oh, yeah. Lots of them. Lots of evil men. Evil men. Lots of them. Look at this. The regime still to explain shut out of AP and UAFC from Republic flag raising. But Schumann, that political scamp, Schumann received invitation. But the opposition ain't received no invitation. But some of the MPs going and shaking hands with some of them in the PPP and addressing them as our minister and all manner of dotishness, right? All manner of dotishness. But you know what's the sad thing, though? You know what's the sad thing? People going out there and protest. But 99% of those MPs aren't doing that. They're not. They're embracing the oppressors. All manner of things that they're doing. You call a protest, I mean, the people ain't gonna go and protest, but people like us gotta fight. We gotta drop what we're doing. We gotta fight because we're all part of the struggle. We're committed. All of us are part of the struggle. But when you call a protest, 4, 5, 10 people turn up, 15 people turn up, you know, maybe I should just start throw dance and done, you know. Maybe I should just start throw dance, party, big bubble session. Call it sweet and tight or tight and sweet. Back ball with promoter Ben Sharp, tight and sweet. A protest, you call a protest. Come on out, guys. Come on out and protest. Come on out and protest. You know, come on out tomorrow. Protest. You know, you're hollering. Come on out and protest. Come on out and protest. People barely torn up. Man, I can throw a tight and sweet session. Right? I might even start singing instead of sitting here every single night. Straight up talking about the regime. I might as well start singing and see if I could make money. Right? Tight and sweet, they call it tight and sweet. Tight and sweet, they call it tight and sweet. Tight and sweet, they call it tight and sweet. Tight and sweet, they call it tight and sweet. This a Papa Ma keep me up on the MC when me singing. You know, something. And the people are going to come out in their thousands. Backballing on the stage. Whining, twist around, jump, sit down, jump. The girl fall upon the lap and What am I doing here? Right? If Titan Sweet Bubble Session get it. All kind of name. Maybe I'll think of another name for a big bubble session. Call it Hole and Grabber. Hole and Grabber something. I'm saying this to say that people get their priority all messed up in terms of a regime that is brutalizing people, a regime that is oppressing people. People go out in their thousands and sport up. And some people say, don't worry, Benja, don't worry, we gotta sport up. But the minute something happened to y'all, it's only a few of us y'all calling though. There's only a few of us. But when we call on y'all to go out and protest, y'all ain't going and protest. Y'all rather Titan Sweet and all these sort of things. Titan Sweet, right? I might as well do the same thing too. Just put on my 3/4 pants, put a kerchief in my back pocket, twist my hat on my head, and go in front of Stabrook Market. Y'all want me to do it? We all could do it too, Lemon, what do you say? Let me do it.
I will play rough. I will play rough. I see you handless. The man want to show you how wicked and tough. And the enemy back with the right rough.
Yeah, we could do it. We could do it. We could do everything. Let me do it.
I'm in the mood, I'm feeling good, I'm feeling hot, I want to run, the feeling.
Exciting. Oh, I want to rub my butt. We can all do it because that seems to be, that's where the crowd is. That's where the money is. You don't make nothing here. But that's where thousands of people, and look at yesterday's protests. Somebody just usually got to get the award for the night. Look at what Sunil Pandey is saying. The people don't believe what you are saying is correct. That's why they are not responding. Sunil, rest yourself. You think the people believe Jack Deal? Sunil? You think that people believe a man who was charged with 19 fraud charges? 19 fraud charges? Sunil? You think that people believe the private sector commission? You think they believe that? You think they believe them, Sunil? Oh, Sunil, man, take your head out of the sun. Take your head out of the sun, Sunil. You know why they go to the bubble sessions and so forth? You know why? You don't want me to tell you why, Sunil, right? It's not that they don't believe. They believe. They believe. And one day will come, Sunil, when folks like you that get that mentality, you know what I mean, Sunil? That mentality, one day will come, all right? One day will come, but you deserve this award tonight, Sunil, and we will give you that award before we go. This is your award, Sunil. You'll have a great night. Embrace it. In fact, run in front of the mirror right now and embrace it. This is your award, Sunil. Always got to be a trench crapper. Always got to be a trench crapper coming with dotishness. Mess up with nice little session that we ending with. And you know what? You know what Sunil sounds like there? This is what Sunil sounds like.
Francisco wine and do shit. Para mucho, mucho. And he said, Praise the Lord. He said, Amen. She said, Amen. She said, how do you do that? Praise the Lord. She said, you never praise this sister. They got church. The princess went to the church. And then the king came. The king come. They went to the church and they said, pass the preaching. They pass the preaching. The preaching they put the word can. They tell the preaching the word can. Say, you read the Bible phone. You read the Bible story. They say, she said, like a public story. Sorry, you know, this is stop order.
Look, get your priorities straight, guys. You got to reach out more to the young people. They got to be shows. Lots and lots of shows will be able to edify the young people there, man. Get them, go out in the communities, talk to them. Just like that man out in the quarantine, Mr. Lewis, 105 years old. Go out and talk to them. Talk to people. Talk to the young people. Talk to them. Don't just condemn them because thousands of them torn up to some session that's called Stink and Dotty or whatever, Dotty and Stink, and then we condemn the young people. Let's don't do that, right? I'm not condemning the young people. Is that the young people needs a proper message to be sent to them, to sit down and talk to them, educate them in a particular area. I wouldn't say that those young people are uneducated, and I wouldn't say that because they're not. A lot of them are smart people. It's just that some of them need to be guided properly, And mind you, I can throw this slash at the coalition at the PNC, because some in the PNC they like to condemn these things, these big bubble sessions, right? They wind up and then they bend over and then the hand does go like this. Whoops, whoops. And then the girls them get a kind of a thing with the hand is just fun like this. I don't know, but it's the same problem I had when the PNC they used to get the green lime, big green lime. Now they get in red lime and dotty, some stink and dotty thing, and these sort of things. And soon y'all might get tight and sweet jam session coming from me. I don't know, man. I've got to go though. So this bubble session thing is all over. Not just under this installed corrupt regime. This bubble session, green lime and all them kind of thing, big bubble session. I don't know, man. Let me get out of here. Love you guys. Have a great weekend, man. Just thought I'd put some smile on your face. Pray for the people of Ukraine. Pray for the people of Guyana as well. Pray for the people all over the world. Love you all. So long.
I'm in the mood. I'm feeling rude. I'm feeling hot. I want to run. The feeling exciting. So darling, let's do something. I want to rub my body on your body. Body on your body. Let me rub my body on your body. I want to rub my body on your body. I wanna rub and love up. I wanna rub and kiss up. I wanna rub and jam up. I wanna rub and rub up. I wanna rub my body on your body. Rub my body on your body. Let me rub my body. Rub my body on your body. I just get paid. I want to body on your body. I wanna rub and love up. I wanna rub and kiss up. I wanna rub and jam up. I wanna rub and rub up. I wanna rub my body on your body. I wanna rub my body on your body. Let me rub my body on your body. I wanna rub my body on your body. Pulling on. I feeling, 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 I feeling.